Racheal Reeves is on a warpath to get a hold of more of your money, and this latest tax reveal does not look good for your savings account. We will discuss this in detail after the latest admission, whilst also going over all of the latest news from up and down the country. But first, hit the like and subscribe button and join our fast-growing community. The number of people paying tax on their savings will almost double over 2 years, official figures show. Government figures show that almost 2.1 million people are expected to pay tax on their savings this year, which is up from around 650,000 3 years ago. The number of basic rate taxpayers being hit with tax will be near 1,954,000, up from just 500,000 in the 2022/23 tax year. For higher and additional rate taxpayers, the combined total will rise from 630,000 to 1,061,000 over the 2024-25 tax year. The personal savings allowances protect people from paying tax on their savings interest, letting basic rate taxpayers earn up to £1,000 in interest on their savings tax-free. Higher rate taxpayers can earn £500, while additional rate taxpayers do not receive an allowance. However, frozen income tax thresholds and high interest rates mean the number of savers exceeding their allowance has risen sharply over the past 3 years. A Freedom of Information request from broker AJ Bell found HMRC estimates show that the number of higher rate taxpayers paying levies on their savings is expected to triple from 158,000 to 590,000 between 2021-22 and 2024-25. It means almost 1 in 10 higher taxpayers are expected to pay savings tax this year, compared to around 1 in 25 3 years ago. The Conservatives froze income tax thresholds in 2020-21 until 2027-28 as part of a stealth raid on earnings, and nothing has been said by Labour about changing it. This has led to millions of people being dragged into higher tax brackets as inflation pushes up incomes. The amount savers can earn in interest before being taxed has also not changed since 2016, meaning the real values of the allowances have been eroded by inflation. Despite this, the figures are lower than the initial amount forecast by the government. As a Freedom of Information request last year showed, the government projected 2.7 million people would be hit with tax on their savings in the 2023/24 tax year, which is now down to 1.9 million. A number of factors could contribute to this, including more savers using cash ISAs to protect their savings from tax. Bank of England data shows that April was a record-breaking month for cash ISAs, with £11.7 billion being put into accounts, marking the highest amount since ISAs were introduced in 1999. Another reason for the drop in figures could be that many people leave their savings sitting in old savings accounts, earning very little or no interest. Data from the Bank of England shows that £252 billion of money is sitting in accounts earning no interest, and many more accounts have below-average rates. Although this means people are less likely to hit their tax-free limit for savings income, it means that people aren't maximising their returns on cash. Laura Souter of AJ Bell said, "Previously, the majority of people didn't need to worry about paying tax on their savings, as interest rates were low and the personal savings allowance was sufficient to cover most people. But now a tricky combination of interest rates rising, cash ISAs being shunned for decades, more people moving into higher tax brackets and seeing their personal savings allowance cut, and the tax-free allowance being frozen means lots of people are being dragged into the tax." Fire and rescue crews have been called to rescue 35 people from rising water levels at a caravan park. An amber weather warning for heavy rain was in place from 6 p.m. yesterday until 6 a.m. today. Water levels are already high from torrential rain earlier in the week, with communities and emergency services poised for more flooding in Northamptonshire. Northamptonshire Fire and Rescue Service, NFRS, has now confirmed it was deployed to 8 weather-related incidents since 8 a.m. on Thursday. This included assisting in helping evacuate a caravan park in Yarwell, where 35 people were assisted to safety from rising floodwaters at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday. Earlier in the day, firefighters and swiftwater rescue technicians rescued 2 people and 2 dogs from a boat at Islip Mill at 10 a.m. Areas affected by the amber warning, including Milton Keynes, Oxfordshire, Cambridgeshire, Leicestershire, and the West Midlands were hit by flash floods as the Met Office said the regions could have 30 to 40 millimetres of rainfall within 3 hours. Rail services between Shrewsbury and Shropshire and Wolverhampton in the West Midlands were cancelled, with disruption expected all morning, after severe flooding at Wellington Station and an earlier tree on the line. The pitch at the CAH Stadium in Wellington, home to Telford United Football Club, was completely flooded on Thursday evening. Trains between Peterborough in the East Midlands and London King's Cross were delayed because of flooding. The Marston Vale line in Bedfordshire, which operates services between Bedford and Bletchley, is suspended until Monday because of standing water on the track. All lines were blocked between Bicester North and Banbury in Oxfordshire, with disruption expected until 3 p.m. National Highways said the M5 in Gloucestershire was closed northbound between Junction 16 and Junction 14 because of flooding. The motorway had reopened southbound between J14 and J15, but hour-long delays and up to 4 miles of congestion were still expected both ways. The A421 in Bedfordshire was expected to remain closed in both directions on Friday, between the A6 Bedford and M1 Junction 13 near Marston Mortain, as floodwater continued to be pumped clear from the junction. Meteorologist Greg Dewhurst said, "There will continue to be localised flooding. A lot of these areas have been hit by rain in the past few weeks, which means the ground is already saturated." He added conditions were expected to ease up and become a bit drier through Friday, but said, "Rivers often take time to respond, so we're expecting disruption to continue in central and southern parts throughout the morning. Those planning to travel on Friday should factor this into their journey times." Lastly, residents who have refused to evacuate the path of Hurricane Helene in Florida have been instructed to write their details on their body in permanent marker. At least one fatality in Florida was blamed on the hurricane so far, authorities said, as the Category 4 storm made landfall around 11:10 p.m. Eastern Time, 3:10 a.m. GMT. Officials feared more fatalities would be discovered on Friday as the storm gusted in with 140 miles per hour winds. Helene is expected to trigger storm surges that could send 20 feet of seawater on land and dump even more rain. Authorities said it would likely be several hours before any rescue personnel could head out to help those in need. A spokesperson from Taylor County Sheriff's Office said, "If you or someone you know chose not to evacuate, please write your name, birthday, and important information on your arm or leg in a permanent marker so that you can be identified and family notified." What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.